We'll be starting shortly. Just need another minute or so to get all the students in the class. All right, I'm gonna start the lecture now. If somebody has not yet joined the class and they message you, tell them I will let them in within a few minutes. So once I start the lecture, I'm not monitoring the wait room. So if somebody messages you that they're waiting, just respond back to them, let them know that the professor will let them in periodically. So I'm gonna check in a few minutes. I'll see if anybody's in the waiting room, then I will let them in. And that's my normal procedure. So for right now, I would like you to do two things. One, just take a look at this particular section, which I left off in the last class. All I want to do today is review for next week's exam. We do not have a class on Wednesday. College is closed. So my aim is right now to review for October 6th exam, which a hands-on exam. So you're going to be using MongoDB, Neon, Postgres, so two separate databases. And then to access MongoDB, you need Compass. To access Neon Postgres, you need pgadmin. We've done this before. So this is all a review right now. I'm going to go through it so that you know exactly what you need to do for next week. You will need to be able to create a collection, which is what you do if it's a MongoDB, or we call the same thing tables when we are dealing with Neon Postgres. And I'm going to have you add some documents or records. You will need to know what the connection string is, what it means, and then security consideration, especially for MongoDB. So we're going to review all of these things today. If you wish, you can record the lecture on your own computer. I'm going to be going through everything today. I am going to be going through it a little bit fast. Why? Because we've already done this. Today is a review class. I'm not teaching you this material for the first time. It's review. So if you think you might end up losing track, I'm going to be going fast. Just record it on your computer. I do not provide recordings, but you are welcome to record it. I've already permissions to everyone if they want to get in and record. So I am going to start the class now. It's 5:06. I will not be letting any more students in after this for a few minutes, and then I'll check. Same thing with chat questions. Please hold off. I will respond to it, and I will let you know. And you need the Wiley book in general, but not for this particular um, exam. I may put this one up again. Keep in mind, I can uh, put my own questions on Wiley. I can give you questions off of my own website. I can give you questions on Brightspace. So your concern is not where I am putting the actual questions. It is a hands-on. So you need to be able to do a bunch of things hands-on, and then you'll be entering the information. So I have not gone over that particular portion, but you must have a Wiley account already. All right. So hold off all questions till I say so. So first thing I'm going to do is go back into MongoDB. and I'm going to be doing things fast. So please record the screen if or the lecture if you wish to. So I'm going back to MongoDB. So the first thing I'm going to do is log into MongoDB. And you can go along with me and do the same thing, or just watch and do it later on, especially if you want to record it. Uh, so you will log in either with your email or with GitHub. I am going to be logging in with my email. All right, so I'm going to stop screen share for just a minute because I have to log into my email and get the code. I would suggest you do the same thing. Try to keep up with me and log into MongoDB, and I'm going to ask it to send the code. I'm going to stop screen share for now. And I will share my screen in just a second. I have logged into my account and I'm going to share my screen. All right. Once you log in, you're going to see a screen something similar to this. You do not need to create a new organization. You do not need to create anything new, but I am going to do it from scratch. So you do not need to do any of this. So when I log in, I'm already have my QC as an organization, and my project name is called AIS. And it's telling me that I can connect to my cluster, and I'm gonna, at this particular point, click on this triple dot short menu shortcut and say view all clusters. So what I want to do is look at my cluster. Now, one of the things that happens is it's saying my cluster is paused, and most likely your cluster is paused as well. We've not used this in about 2 weeks or so. After a few days, MongoDB stops your cluster, which just basically means that you cannot access it till you tell it, hey, I want to resume with this cluster. So right now it's just telling me it's all paused. I'm going to try to see if I can connect or resume. So I'm going to look in here first of all. And is there anything in here? There is an option to terminate. Terminate means you can completely delete it. And that's actually what I wanted to do. I want to completely delete it so I can set everything up from scratch. So you can see what I'm doing. So it's supposed to be a review. So for right now, it's paused, but even more importantly, I just want to terminate it. And I'm going to click terminate. It says, are you sure you want to delete everything? So whatever I have, if I type this in, so please enter the cluster name to continue. So the cluster name was cluster 0. If I enter that in, it allows me to terminate it, allows me to basically get rid of it. And it's shutting it down. And I'm going to give it a few seconds to go through the process of shutting down. And I'm going to just refresh my browser window. Okay, so it's now gone. I do not have a cluster. Cluster is another way of saying a server on MongoDB database. Basically, it's another way of saying I have a computer which will host my database. So right now it's telling me you do not have any server or any cloud database. Everything was deleted by me. I terminated it, I deleted it. So I'm going to click here, build a cluster. And everything that we are doing is in your notes. If you go back in here, I'm not going to repeat it this time, but it's in the notes. I have all the screenshots and things that you need in there. You need to make sure you just review it. So when you create a cluster, this one, they are charging you money. There is a free one. They don't bring that up by default. So if you're creating a new cluster, make sure you select the free one. You are only allowed one free cluster. So if I did not delete my old one, I would not have been able to get in here. So I'm creating a free cluster. You can give it any name you want. I'm going to leave it as the default one, which is cluster 0. And it gives you a choice of 3 providers, either Amazon or Google or Microsoft. And me, I will leave it with Amazon. That's the default. In here, it's defaulting to India, and I need to make sure that we are in North America. So, and I'm looking at Virginia. So I'm going to scroll down, look at North America, and we want it to be Virginia, Northern Virginia. That's the closest to us. So I'm going to select Northern Virginia. Next, it's saying, do you want some tags or this or that? And I don't. Now, other things that you want to pay attention to right here. It says automate security setup. I want to leave that yes, but I do not want to preload sample data. So I'm checking that off. I don't want data in there. I'll put my own data. So, but I do want it to automate security setup so I don't have to do these things on my own. So Amazon Web Services, Northern Virginia, leave the default cluster 0. And in here, uncheck this one. You do not want sample data set loaded. And then I'm going to say create deployment. When you create a deployment, it can take a few minutes for it to be set up. And right now it's saying, how are you going to be connecting to the cluster? I'm going to just X out of it for now. So it's working on creating my cluster. If I get lost, I don't know what I'm doing. If I'm lost, I'm not sure where I am. I can always go to my project and look for my AIS. I only have one project. So that's what I'm going to do. And it's really just taking me back to this screen. Now, in here, again, these triple dots are important. It's saying you want to view all of your clusters. I'm going to say yes, view all clusters. So I only have one cluster, which is called cluster 0. I could have named it something. I just left it as default. Cluster is nothing more than saying this is a computer that I have set up. This is a computer which will host my database. I have not created a database yet. I have created a computer, a virtual computer that will be hosting my database. Now, in here is it's telling you how to connect to it. And in here again, I can go in, and if I don't want it, I could terminate it, get rid of it, delete it. I don't want to do that at this time. So I'm going to go back in here and connect to it. And that's that pop-up window you saw earlier. So when you click on connect, it gives you a choice. And the way we are connecting, we are not doing drivers, we are not doing shell or this or this. The only one we are using is Compass. And you know that because in my notes also I tell you MongoDB, you need to know how to connect using Compass. So I'm going to go back, Compass, and I can click on it. And it gives you two choices. I don't have Compass installed. I have Compass installed. All of you should by now have Mongo Compass installed. And then it says what version, and this 1.38 or later is the one we want. That's what we are all using. You should not have to do anything here, at least as of next week. So you really don't need to go and do anything in here. But in part 2, it says copy the connection string, and it gives me this. So if I want to connect to my cluster, I can copy my connection string. Now, just because I have copied my connection string, I just will do that. And I'm going to quickly show you using, let's say, Notepad. So this was my old connection string, old password. So I'm going to just draw a line here to show you my new connection string. That's what it looks like. Now, in this connection string, I have to make sure I replace my DB password right here. This must be replaced. And then you have whatever you need to actually be able to connect. And keep in mind, my password or this connection string is not going to be the same as yours. Password definitely will not be. So what you want to be able to do is the following. You will copy your own connection string. If I want you to go into my account, I will tell you my connection string along with my password. But if you have to go into your own server, own database, you must get to this screen, and you get to this screen by saying connect. So I'm going to go back, start again. So if I want to get to my screen, I'm going to go to my AIS and just find that project. And I only have one cluster. I look in there and I see connect. When I see connect, I want to be connecting through Compass. And then when I'm looking down here, it tells me what my connection string is. And this is how you're going to find your own connection string. Once you have your connection string, like I'm going to say copy and done, you still need to know what your password is. I just created this in front of you. I have no idea what my password is because I told it to just automate the security setup. So I need to find my password. And to find the password, I come down this way where it says database access. So if you don't know what your password is, or you forgot, or you did not write it down, whatever, you can always reset your password by coming to database access. So I'm going to click database access. Now in database access, it already has a user, which is me, and I have access to all the resources. It gives me the option to edit or delete. I can delete this and create a new user. That's not quite what I want to do. So I'm going to just edit at this time. When I edit, it gives me the option to edit my password. So I'm going to click edit password, and it will not let you see your old password, but it will let you create a new password. I can auto generate it, and that's what I'm going to do right now, auto generate. So it's in here, and if I want to connect to it, I need to be able to copy it. So I'm going to just click here, copy, but it begins with a T, ends with an X, and that's fine. So I'm going to just hide it for now. Don't stop over here. You've got to make sure that you update the user if you change your password. And I just did that. So it's saying we're deploying your changes, so on and so forth. Now I'm going to go back and open up Compass. So I'm in the Windows environment. I'm looking for Compass. I installed it long time ago. Let's open it up. You will have it installed on your computer. You may get a message saying it's not completely up to date or whatever, and it should not make any difference. Right now, it's not giving me any version message. And this was my database. I've already connected to it previously, and I just want to delete it. So I have no connections right now, and I want to add a new connection. So if I want to add a new connection, I need to paste my URL in there. And for me to get my URL, I am going to do a couple of things. I had right here, put my connection string. Now I had just copied the password, so I'm going to paste the password in here. And remember, it began with a TX and ended with an NX. When you're doing this, make sure you do not have this symbol in there, the less than and greater than symbol. That is not part of your connection string. So I'm going to do this, copy it across. So this is my new connection string with my real password. So now I can go into my MongoDB right here, get rid of this one, and paste my connection string. Once, and I'm going to intentionally make a mistake in the connection string. So instead of .NET, I'll just make it .conf. But let me just add 1, 2, 3 at the end. Basically, I'm intentionally doing this to show you what happens if something goes wrong. So I'm going to say, let's just do connect. I could save and connect, but let me just do connect. And it should give me some sort of an error message that, hey, something is wrong. And it's giving me two separate messages. One, it cannot connect. And second, it's saying you're using an older version. Not a big deal right now. Okay, so but this is a big deal. So I gotta go back. This is the one I was trying to connect to. I'm gonna click here and I'm just gonna say edit. Now, if I just do edit, it's not letting me go in here and modify anything. So I'm going to click here, edit connection string. Yep. Now I should be able to modify this. And the mistake I had made was I had added 1, 2, 3 at the end. So I'm going to get rid of that. or my password is wrong, whatever. You can edit it from right here. And if you want, you can give it a choice of color, any color that you like, and I'll just select teal. Doesn't matter. And I'm gonna save and connect. So once I save it and I connect, I would be able to, or if you're using my connection string, you also can connect to my cluster. We haven't created a database just yet. We have just created a cluster. So I'm going to go back now to my MongoDB environment. And again, if you're not sure where you are, you can always, again, I know where I am with the database security, but if you're not sure where you are, you can always go back to AIS and try to get back to your home screen. So at this point, I already have a cluster 0, and it's giving me a couple of choices. Remember, I did not add any data just yet. So I need to look in here and figure out a way of adding data. So right here, it's giving me the option to add data. I don't want sample data. I could, but I really don't want it. I really want to add my own data. Okay, so it's saying you have a couple of choices. Created on Atlas. Atlas is the site we are on right now. Via an application or Mongo shell. I have not done either of these two, so ignore this. This is the one we have done. Okay, create database on Atlas, and I'm gonna click start. Now, remember, cluster 0 is our computer name, a server. Now I'm going to be creating a database. Whatever name I want for my database, that will go in here. So for your first exam, I am going to tell you what the name is. And you need to be able to come in and create a database with that particular name. And for right now, I'll just call it mock exam. So that is the name of the new database. And then at the same time, I can create a collection if I want. So the collection is where you will actually be storing data, and usually you'll have multiple collections, not just one collection. And an example of collection may be customers, a customer collection, or a student collection, or an inventory collection. So I'm going to make one called inventory. So you will be given this information. I'll tell you what the database name is. I don't care what your cluster name is, but I'll tell you what your database name is and then what I want you to call your collection. And we are not going to be checking these two boxes. We're going to just leave it exactly as is. And you can have multiple collections. So I'm creating just the first one right now. And it says create database. And this is my own Chrome thing. I don't want it coming up, so I'm going to close out of it. So now I have created a database which is called mock exam. And in here, I have an inventory collection. And let me create maybe one more collection in addition to inventory, and that may be my vendors collection. So up here, I can come and click. So I want to create a collection under my mock exam database, and it's saying what would be the collection name. and I will call it vendors. Or I just will call it vendors, singular. And I will not do anything in here because we are not dealing with time series or this. We're just not doing any of that stuff. That's more advanced and not relevant for what we are doing. So all I do is type in vendor. I'm going to hit create. So now I've got two separate collections. And I gave you this example before, and we'll do it again. So if you were relating this to a spreadsheet, it would be the equivalent of doing the following. I'm going to call my database, which is another way of saying file name, mock exam. That's the equivalent of a file name, database. And then in here, I would be going in, and instead of calling it sheet one, I would be renaming it and calling it inventory. So I'm going to keep track of inventory up here. And then I'm going to add another collection. And this will be called vendor. So if you're trying to equate it with a spreadsheet, this is what I'm doing. My database is the equivalent of mock exam. And then I have a collection of inventory, collection of vendors. And typically then within inventory, I would be going in and having things like ID, description. I may have, let's say, size, color, quantity, cost, so on and so forth. And then I'll keep track of my data here. It's the same thing when you're doing it in MongoDB. So in here, I want to just refresh this, which for my compass. So I'm going to go in here. I'm trying to see, there should be like a refresh button. I'm not seeing it, but that may be my vision. Reload data. Okay. So I'm just going to have it reload or reload data. And when I did that, now you see mock exam is appearing. If for some reason you can't find it, just close out of it. I completely closed out of it. Now I'm going to go back in and open it up again. And then when you connect to this one, because we did save it, it's connecting to it. Now I'm able to get to my mock exam cluster. So from here, I can see inventory and vendor collection, and I can then go in and then add data. So here you would say add data. You can also add data from right here. So for inventory, I can add data by saying insert document. It's the same thing, no difference. Insert document. There are two separate ways you can insert data. This is that JSON format, and it's not exactly JSON, but essentially JSON, or this. You need to know how to use this one, or either or. It doesn't matter to me how you enter your data. Now, to add data, you go up here, click on the left, and it says add a field after ID. And that's what I want to do. I want to add it after ID. And this field might be called description. And then I will tab over and let's just call it a t-shirt. That's just the description I have. And then I'm not done. I want to add some more stuff to it. So right here, you can go in, click, and it will give you the option to add another field. And now I'm just going to say quantity. And this quantity, let's just make it 50. Now, if I leave it at 50, it's going to be showing as a string. And I really want it to be a number. And for something like quantity, you would probably want to use an integer value like integer 32. So I'm going to just click on that. Now, sometimes when you do this, it gives you a problem. Sometimes it doesn't. So you just have to be a little bit careful. Put the number in first, then go in and do integer or whatever you want. Now, I'm going to select another field that I want to add. And now the field is going to be on sale, if this item is on sale. And this is either true or false, and I'm going to say true. So I first type in true, but then I go in here and I change it to Boolean, which is for true or false. So I want you to notice a few things, that the quotations are not used when you're using numbers or Boolean. I'm going to add another one, another field after sale. Now, let's just make it color. And I want the color to be red. So I now have pretty much all the data I want. I mean, I can keep on adding things if I want, like cost, etc. And let me actually do one more, cost. So this is how much we paid for it, cost. And I'll just say we paid $2.99. So this is not going to be an integer, but it's going to be a decimal number. So I come in here and I look, and typically we use what's called a double, which is just another way of doing decimal. So if it decimal 128 is a very large decimal value, and if it's not as large, we just use double. Sometimes it's also called float, but here it's just called double. So I'm going to select double, which is just another way of saying decimal value, and I'm going to insert it. So once I insert it, I have done the equivalent of. So if I was in inventory, ID, description, just added one row going across. That's what I've done. I could add a second row, third row, fourth row. Now, I'm using Compass now. So using Compass, I want to look at inventory. Again, you'll see the problem is going to be, I have to make sure my data is refreshed. It may not be refreshed, so it can create problems. You will not see things in here. And you need to look up here, see if there is a refresh option available. So I'm looking at data, export, update, and right here, I see refresh option. So right now I'm under mock exam, inventory, but I'm not seeing anything. But if I refresh it, hopefully the latest data will get pulled in here. And as soon as I clicked on refresh, it came in. Again, if you have trouble finding it, or if it doesn't refresh it for some reason, just reconnect. And again, do not worry about this message. I'm intentionally not updating mine, so you know this should not have any effect. If it's giving you problems, just update it, upload, update. So hopefully we are good with this. I could do the same thing with vendor, add some data, and or again under inventory. So I'm going to go under vendor. I'm going to add data now using my Compass, not my website, but Compass. I'm going to click add data. You are able to add it two separate ways. You can import a file, a JSON or a CSV file, or insert a document. We're going to just do it manually, insert document. And it gives you this. This is a JSON format. I sometimes don't like to enter data like this. I mean, it's okay, but sometimes it's easier to enter it using this option. So I'm going to click on that. Now, to enter data, this is now for the vendor collection. And I'm going to go over here, go to the left, and it's the same format. So in here, I will just call it the name of the vendor, and I'll just make up a name, ABC company. Then I can add more stuff to it, like, again, I'm going to just do their state, and the state happens to be California. I can add another item, zip, and I'm going to enter that 99123. Now, even though it looks like a number, I will leave it as string. It's not a good idea to change it from string to a number, because imagine if it was, let's say, 09123. That's the zip code. If I change it to integer, 0 will get dropped. I want to make sure 0 stays there. We are not doing calculations on it. This is a string. This is not a number. This is not a decimal. So I have name, state, zip, and I think that's sufficient. So now I'm going to insert it. And so I've got ABC Company, California, 09123. So that's just the equivalent of going in here, having whatever the ID is. I won't bother copying it. And then saying the company name and then zip. So zip was 09123. Now I'm entering 0. Everybody keep an eye on it. But what is Excel going to do? It will get rid of the 0 because it thinks I'm entering a number. To make sure Excel knows that this is not a number, I can put in Excel a single quote and then add a 0. So now Excel is saving it as string. This is ABC Company. And then ID, whatever it was, we would have. Okay, so we can keep on adding vendors. So I've pretty much covered what I need to with MongoDB. I will take questions for the next couple of minutes. Then I'm going to review Postgres that we had. Any questions so far? This is the time to ask me. So now I'm going to just discuss the procedure with you on Monday before I cover the rest of the material. So on Monday, please make sure you log in. First thing you're going to do is log in to Brightspace and look at the announcement section. Also, make sure you look at this section, the note section. So, we reviewed for October 6th exam, but now I'm going to come in here and I'll put down October 6th. Just come into this section and see if there's any information in here about what you need to do. So you need to look at two places, right here and on Brightspace. Go to your home page, look to see what sort of an announcement I have. That will tell you what you're going to do next and what the procedure is going to be. So I'm going to have detailed instructions of what you're going to do for MongoDB and what you're going to be doing for Compass. Very last thing that I'm going to mention, this is the security issue with respect to Compass. For me to be able to connect to your database, like right now, even though you know my password, you cannot connect to mine. You will need to make sure that you go under security, network access, like right here, and make sure that you add my IP address. Otherwise, I will not be able to log in and see your database. So my IP address, because it can change. I have a dynamic IP, continuously changes, or if I'm traveling. So it's not necessarily going to be this IP address. So what you do is say add IP address and say allow access from anywhere. Okay. Now, when you say allow access from anywhere, do not check this. Do not say this is temporary because I will need a few days to be able to grade things. So don't make it temporary. You can delete the database or whatever once it's been graded, but you're going to allow access from anywhere. Do not make it temporary. And you're going to say confirm. So now it will add something in here saying 0000. Anyone can now access your database as long as they know the password. Of course, only you know the password and I will know it. This way I can go in and connect to your database. I may also ask you to connect to my database. And if that is the case, I will provide you with the connection string. So I will give you something like this, and you'll be able to connect to my database, and I will have it set up so any of you from anywhere in the world can access my database. Right now, even though you know my password, you cannot access it because I have not granted you access. So to access my database, I will need to provide you with the connection string. For me to access your database, you will need to provide me with your connection string, including password, and make sure under the security you allow this. So just sort of be aware of these things for the next class. So now anyone can access it because you now know my password, and I said anyone can access it. And I'm going to delete this because I don't want anyone going into my database right now. So now no one can come back into it, even though you know my password. And I also, just as a security precaution now, we're going to database access. I'm going to click on edit and I'm going to have it change my password. I'll have it auto-generate a password. I'm not gonna do anything else, but I'm gonna make sure I update my user. So this old connection string that you saw, this password is no longer valid. And also at the same time, I made sure that nobody can come to mine. So I've reset my security back so nobody can get into my database. So I'll take questions and then I'm going to move on to the next one. Zara, I think I've already answered your question. If not, uh, ask again. But the detailed instructions of what you need to do step by step, you will have available to you. And I typically put that stuff on either it will be part of the announcement page, uh, or and if it's on the announcement page, I'm going to go in here. Then typically I will have something which will say, look in the content section. And then in the content section, I may have something else under the notes. So under notes right now, you have basic information, and I may have it exam one, for example. So exactly where it goes, I have not made it up yet. After I finish the lecture, that's when I'm going to make it up. But you will find it in this will be your starting point, and then also look at the notes. All right, let me move now to the next portion. And so a student just asked me, do you need to be on Zoom? At the beginning of the class, it would be a good idea for you to be on Zoom if I need to give any last minute instructions. So just come on Zoom, but Zoom is not, it's not going to be a Zoom lecture that day. You're going to be working on your own. So, and just submitting things. So you can come on Zoom right at the beginning for maybe 4 or 5 minutes, but you may not hear me or you not see any lecture. I will only join in if there's something that I want to add on it. Otherwise, you will be taking the exam based on written instructions. Okay, so make sure you take it. I do not give makeup exams. Make sure you go through the class policy. If you miss my exam, you will get an incomplete as long as you meet other requirements, and then it will be pushed into spring semester. Then you will be able to take it when I offer this class again in spring. I do not give makeups in the same semester. So once it's over, if you miss it for whatever reason, the best you can hope is that you will be able to get an incomplete. Again, make sure you go through the class policies section because I do not make exams over and over again. So just be aware of that. So unless there is something serious, try to take the exam on that day. And no one has come to me and said that there is any religious holiday or anything on October 6th. So as far as I know, if there is, message me, let me know that there is, and then I'll have to reschedule it, obviously. I cannot give you an exam on a day that has a religious holiday. But no one has approached me for Monday, October 6th. All right, let me just move on now because I want to be able to do quick coverage of Postgres as well. Now, for the Postgres, and that was what we did most recently. So I no longer need my compass, so I'm going to close out of it. And I'm going to go back to my, I don't need MongoDB either, so I'm going to get rid of this. And I'm going to go to neon.tech. I'm going to log in. And here I'm going to use my GitHub account. So on my GitHub account, I have two separate databases. I have um, one which is this is my own personal one. This teach students. You do not have access to it. We didn't do it. This is the one I created earlier. So at this time, I just want to delete it. You do not do this. You don't have to do it, but I just want to delete it. I don't have to. I could just go in and create a new project. Neon will allow you to create, I think, like 7, 8, 10 projects for free. I don't remember the number, but I usually don't like to keep multiple projects. So I'm gonna just delete this one. So I'm looking at this one and I don't see directly an option to delete. So I see dashboard, SQL, transfer, settings. So if I want to delete it, it's typically under settings. So if I look under settings and I'm going to go all the way down, typically it's all the way at the end, it gives you the option to delete project. So I could click on it, it will make me type some stuff in and I could delete it. Otherwise, I'm going to go back to my dashboard. So if I go back to my dashboard in here and AIS, so this is the project that I'm working on right now. If I have multiple projects like I do, I can go back and forth between the two. So I'm going to go back to AIS. I can look up my connection string going in here. I could reset my password and I'm going to, by clicking up here. And then in here, I want to see my password. I can say show password. So I'm going to X out of this for now. I'm going to go and let me start with going back to my home page so I can see the projects I have. And I could delete it. I'm going to hold off for right now. And I'm just going to say new project. It asks you for the project name and I'll just call it mock exam. Ask you for the version. Just stick with 17 for right now. Amazon or Microsoft, leave it as Amazon. Leave it as Northern Virginia because that's the closest to us. Enable Neon Auth. You will get a barebone database. If your app will have users, turn this on and avoid reinventing auth wheel. Okay, so basically this is saying, uh, they'll create a user just like before we dealt with it. Uh, enable neon auth. Okay, I'm gonna just turn that on, and I don't remember us having that option before, but I'm not sure. Um, I don't remember having it before, but I'm gonna just say enable it and say create. So enable ready auth UI component to use in. So this is something brand new. This was not there when I taught this a week or two ago. And I'm just gonna turn this thing on. Enable neon auth. Ready for your first user. So now, uh, before it just created a user for us. If you look at the screenshots, it's a little bit different right now. And this can happen at any time. So you remember, this is the screenshot. We created a project, and that was it. Now it has added something new. This is the first time I'm seeing it myself. It had created a user for us automatically. Now it did not do that. And we have to go through this one extra step, create user. And it's asking for the email of the user and then the name of the user. So now it's just an extra step that you need to go through. So whatever it is, and this is why I said you may want to log into Zoom that day, because I will look at it, and if there's something new, something unusual, I'll be able to give you some additional instructions. But here, you would just enter your own email address and your name, okay? If you're going to do that, I'm going to cancel out of this. So once you have this, and this is why, and I can again get rid of this if I want. This is auth beta. I'm going to go back because I want to do this thing quickly now. I have about 10 minutes. So I'm going to just go back to my AIS project. And in my AIS project, I can look up my connection string. So here we have NeonDB owner, NeonDB. We had this stuff. And then if I open up show password, the user was NeonDB owner. So I'm just going to utilize this thing again. To connect, I go to not Mongo Compass. Now I'm looking for pgadmin4. This is what we were using. So it's going to take a minute or two to load up. All right, so it will start up. Now it's telling me I'm using an older version. Again, it does not matter, but if it's something which is bothering you, just update the software. But it will not matter for what we're doing. So once you have this, you will either need to connect to my server or I will be connecting to your server. So in this case, I already have some of these old servers, but I am going to connect to a new server. To connect to a new server, you right click on it and then you will register a server. When you register a server, this is what the screen looks like. And under general, all you have to do is give it a name, any name that you want. I'll just call it mock exam. Any name you want, doesn't matter. And then under connection is where all the important thing is. That's what you need to look at. Also under parameters, we say SSL mode is required. We don't need to worry about any of the other things, but I'm going to go back to connection now. So this and this has been done. Here, it will keep on showing you this error message till you finish all of these things. So host name and address, and I have to look that up. So when I'm in here, and it's not that easy to see, I'm zooming in now. So unlike when you did use MongoDB, you could just copy the whole thing and be done with it. Here, you need to know exactly what everything is. So the starting point here, NeonDB owner. That is how you are logging in. So I'm going to just copy that, and that is the username. Be careful when you do copy and paste because you could end up making a mistake. So the username is NeonDB owner. Password is right here after the colon. Colon tells you password is the beginning. So I'm going to copy that, and it goes all the way up to just before the @ symbol, just like in an email address. So think of it this way. Email. Imagine your email consisted of not just your username, but username and password, separated by a colon. And then that @ symbol is important. You stop just before them. So now I know what my password is. And I'm going to tell it to save password. When you paste password, there is always a risk that because you're not seeing it, that you copied or something incorrectly. So I'm leaving it like this for now. If it doesn't work, that's the first thing I will check. So the database name is going to be, again, let's go in here and find out. So right here towards the end, it tells me the name of the database, NeonDB. Then a question mark and all that. So I know the name of the database, plus it's telling me right here, database, NeonDB. So maintenance database is not Postgres, but NeonDB. In my settings, if you change something, it may be different. And then it wants to know the server name or the host name. And for that, I look at where my @ symbol is. And I start to go and copy everything just before the /NeonDB. So it begins with EP, dark, hat, blah, 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 all the way. And what I'm going to do is, once I have this, save it. I will try to connect and see if it works or not. So I have this thing called mock exam. I'm going to try to connect. And it looks like I'm able to connect. When I connect, I click on databases. You will see two databases, Postgres and NeonDB. Ignore Postgres. You want to go into your database, which is really NeonDB. And you will see all this. We are looking at schemas, and I have it all in my notes. So under schemas, you're going to look. There's a public schema, and we're trying to see something about tables, but not foreign tables. Ignore that for now. Just tables. So here I had previously a customer table and a student table, and you would need to be able to create tables. So right here, I'm going to very quickly create a table. And this table, I'm going to call it vendor. Once I say vendor, now I can add columns. And I can add a column like ID. And for now, we'll just call it integer. I'll call it big integer. It doesn't have to be. I'll say not null. It's a primary key. Now I can add another column like the name, and that I will make some sort of a character, and I'll just call it character varying, not null. In other words, it must be entered. And then the last item I'll just put down a zip code. And this I will also say is character, because it's not going to be varying lengths of character. And I'll say it's not required. And then I hit save, and now I've just saved my vendor table. And then under vendor table, I can do script. Actually, view edit data. I haven't gone over scripts yet. View edit data, you can view all rows. And then using this, you can add or delete data. We've done this before. So I'm going to quickly add here. I'll just give it any ID, integer ID, name, ABC company. Click OK. And zip is not required, but I can enter 09123. Click OK. Once you do this, you must make sure you save it. And I've saved it. You get a successful save message, and so on and so forth. So I'm done. I just reviewed everything that you need for Monday's exam. Let me just, I have 1 minute left, so I'm gonna, so this is it. This is what you need to review. Look through. I've covered everything in here today, both Mongo, Neon, Compass, pgadmin, how you create a collection or table, how you add data, what the connection strings are, security considerations, and you will be doing things hands-on. Plus, you'll be submitting things to me through either I'll do it through Wiley or again, I'm not sure, but it does not make any difference. You'll just be main part of the exam is just going to be hands-on, that you're going to be doing it, and I'll tell you how you submit the information to me, but it will not be through email. You will need to submit it through either Brightspace or through Wiley, or if I have my own site set up from there. All right. Any questions, stay behind. Otherwise, you can disconnect.